mock draft season is upon us, and Philly Sports Talk is here with the second mock draft of the season. I'm Coy Camiscioli here from Philly Sports Talk with Cade Gargano. Again, our second mock draft. Cade, how's it going?
Good, Coy. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, so these are pretty fun. Again, we did one last week. We'll probably do these once a week. It's going to be another 10-team PPR format today. Maybe next week we'll go to 12 teams and we'll branch out a little bit, or even if I have to do a 12-team alone or with somebody else if we're not available, because our league is a 10-team that we are in. So that's the one we have been working on. But as you can see, the format minus kickers and defenses. So we'll go until we fill out our 5 bench spots. We'll obviously not break down every pick as much when we get that late. But so 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, and 2 flexes. So I believe that's the best layout for a fantasy league. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, we'll start it up. Kate has pick 5 in our draft. I have pick 10. And we'll just get this going. So Jamar Chase is not the consensus number 1 here, but he will be probably more than likely. So Saquon, Jamar, Bijan, Jefferson, that's what I think is the most likely. Cade's on the clock here at pick number 5.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter what order the CPU picks it in because that will be the top four. So last week I went CD Lamb. Part of me wants to switch it up just to see, what else I can get, but I think CD Lamb is easily the best player still left on the board, so I'm going to pick him.
I thought you picked Nico Collins last week. Am I wrong?
No, I didn't pick Nico Collins.
No, yeah, you didn't. Somebody else picked Nico ahead of me, and that's where
I
I was
would when we were at Chipotle doing a mock draft, I picked Nico
Oh,
Collins.
okay. So worlds colliding here. So Kate takes CeeDee Lamb. Jameer Gibbs goes after him. Fellow teammate Amara after him. Amara was my first round pick last week. Puka Nacua goes at the 8th, which I'm a big fan of, and Derrick Henry goes at the 9th. So my 2 first picks ended up going earlier in the first round here as Amara and Derrick Henry. So I'm going to definitely have a different strategy today. And I'm going to start off with Nico Collins. I think that's been one of my most consistently drafted players at pick number 10. I really like the situation and points per game wise last year when he was on the field. He was absolutely elite, 17.55 PPG, which is pretty nice for PPR. So I like him as my first receiver. And then honestly, I think I might go double receiver here as I went hero RB last week. But I'm not really a fan of McCaffrey. I'm not banking on him coming back well or the Niners as a whole. Gentry, I'm not a fan of on the risk here, especially in that Raiders offense. And then it's A-Chain. I'm not much of a fan of either, so I'm going to be drafting a guy well above their ADP, I feel like, since I'm not a fan of those 4. So I'm probably going to go 2 receivers here. And this is something that I have been thinking about recently. Malik Neighbors, obviously the quarterback situation is really not ideal. And I'm not sure if a sophomore slump is really in play for a guy as elite as Malik Neighbors. So I'm in between him, BTJ, Drake, or AJ, and it's kind of tough not to take Malik Neighbors, I feel like. I think I'm going to take Malik Neighbors, but I kind of wanted to lean towards even Brian Thomas Jr., so that's my pick. I like Nico Malik. We see Genti go after that. BTJ paired with Puka Nakua, which is nice. Draco and Amara and Gibson, Devon A-Chain. So some good pairings there as Cade's on the clock.
Yeah, I think Malik Neighbors was the right pick. I think Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas are the end of like that second tier of receivers. I think Drake London starts that third tier. So I agree with the Malik Neighbors pick. Now I'm in an interesting spot because and I mentioned last week that I really don't like to double down on receivers, but last week Brian Thomas fell to me this late, and now AJ Brown fell to me. So it's so intriguing. But I said last week that I'm very interested in Christian McCaffrey. I think he's going to be healthy, and it's completely 50-50. Either you think he's going to be a bust and he's a waste of a pick, or you think he's going to be great and league winning upside in the second round. And I'm going to take the latter. So Christian McCaffrey will be my second round pick.
All right, so we see McCaffrey go. I feel like at the 2-6, it's not really as much of a risk, honestly, but we see 2 tight ends go in the second round, so this is a different kind of mock than we saw from last week entirely. Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, they go, and then some quarterbacks fall as Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. A.J. Brown at the 3-2 would be irresistible value, in my opinion. We see Lag go, so a lot different from last week's mock. Again, we had some real managers in, but Cade, you can walk us through here on your next pick in the third round.
So since I took wide receiver RB this week, I think I can finally click the draft button on Jackson Smith and Jigba. I really want to take Tyreek Hill. I think that would be really cool to have CD McCaffrey and Hill. That's just like a that's like a boomer bust type of a team, but that's a little bit too scary for me. So I think let me just take one last. Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna go Jackson Smith and Jigba.
And
I think he's probably the best receiver left on the board.
that's funny because I was circling Tyreek. I thought you were going to take Tyreek there. Um, One sec. I'm going to edit the draft settings. I'm going to make it 5 minutes. I don't think we're not going to use all that, but just so we can break it down more and not be in so much rush. I mean, I don't. We're not going to need all 5 minutes. We'll probably only need like 2.5, maybe at times. So yeah, JSN, I like it. Sam Darnold is intriguing for JSN. Obviously, JSN was great last year, wide receiver 9, and you know 1130 or Jesus Christ 1130 yards is big time. After JSN we see Kyron Williams, so team 6 stacking up on the running backs. Jonathan Taylor goes at the 3-7. I kind of like Amon-Ra Drake, but it's a little weird between Amon-Ra Drake and Taylor. Chase Brown, Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas, I do like that mix, and T. Higgins, Genty, and Henry, which kind of leaves me here with a very intriguing pick because Tyreek Hill is sitting there at the third round pick, which just feels like irresistible value. And I might try to do something in this mock that I don't know if would happen in my normal redraft league, but because I don't know if some of these guys would fall. See, I don't know if Jonathan Taylor will go here. I think honestly Jonathan Taylor would fall here to me. And I'm not quite sure about Kyron either, or even Chase or T. Higgins. These 4 are a questionable 4 that I don't know if they would go right there. But maybe I'm wrong. And your drafts, they might. I just know the guys in my league. That's just what I'm going off of. So here, there's a chance I go 2 more receivers here. I think I'm going to take Tyreek Hill for the upside with one of my picks. And then there's really a ton of options here. I'm probably leaning towards James Cook here. So I have at least one good running back because I can live with having 3 to 4 good elite level receivers, but I'm going to need at least one playable running back.
I know
Jaden
you want to
Daniels,
take Garrett Wilson.
I do
I
kind of
know
want to
that's
take
who you
Garrett Wilson.
really want.
I do kind of want to take Garrett Wilson, but I think more realistic is a running back. But I don't know, man. I really don't know. And Terry McLaurin's honestly intriguing too. If I really wanted to, I could have taken Terry and then Jaden Daniels here, which would have been really. I would have liked that stack. That stack ended up winning our league last year, but sophomore slumps are a thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it is a thing, and I'm debating whether or not I'm going to take Garrett Wilson for fun or if I'm going to take James Cook. Um, it's I think I'm going to lean James Cook here. I'm going to go James Cook, even though I really kind of wanted to go Garrett Wilson, as you said. But I need one playable running back at least on my team because at the end of next round, it's going to be pretty low. So we see Jane Daniels go after that, Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, George Kittle, and Cade's back on the clock here with some pretty good receiving options if he wants to go receiver.
Yeah, yeah. Terry McLaurin, he scares me a little bit because, like you said, just the Cliff Kingsbury offense is a little weird to predict. It's been figured out before, especially with Kyler Murray, but Jaden Daniels is way better than Kyler Murray. So, but the addition of Debo Samuel, probably the touchdown regression. Not sure how many touchdowns he had last year. I don't know if there's a quick way to check, but
Terry,
yeah, I think he had a
13.
lot. Yeah, he had a lot of touchdowns last year. I think that's gonna probably go back down to like maybe 9 or 10, but it's still a good amount. So Terry's in mind, Marv is in mind. I really wish Rasheed Rice didn't get in trouble because, oh, that would be so nice. But I think I'm going to go Devontae Adams, who I think is going to finish the highest out of all of those guys.
Yeah, I think Devontae Adams is a safe pick too, especially in LA's offense. LA is an excellent offense for a receiver to go in. Obviously, he's going to be right with Puka Nacua, but I don't think that's going to hurt him too much. I think that might help him. So Adams, we see Terry fall right after Brees Hall, Marv, Alvin Kamara, Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf. We see Joe Burrow go right here and James Conner. So team 4, kind of a similar strat from last week's episode, if you guys watched, where they took like the best available at each position, and they just kept doing that. So nothing too crazy along here, and Cade has a chance now to maybe pull the trigger on a quarterback or Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a question. I think in a real league, Rasheed Rice probably would have already went. And depending on your setup, if you can afford for it, I think he's going to miss 6 games. I think that's what his suspension is going to be for. Doesn't he have 5 years of parole?
5 years probation, 30 years of jail time.
Yeah, that's hefty. I think the league's gonna come down heavy on him. So I ideally I would take Rasheed Rice here, but Jalen Hurts staring at me in the fifth round as a potential quarterback one overall is crazy. So I'm gonna take Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean that makes the most sense to me as well. We see Rasheed Rice go after that. Omarion Hampton, Sam Laporta. If you listen to last week's episode, I'm not a Sam Laporta guy, but he goes. DJ Moore goes after that, and now I'm sitting here with three pretty good receivers because I like Tyreek Hill as a first flex. I think that is really good, and I don't mind James Cook. I think James Cook has the chance to be a good RB1. So some good value there in my opinion in the fourth round from James Cook. So I'm sitting here now. Um, and I'm looking at a couple guys here. I can only help that you're trying to get Devonte Smith to get the stack, but that's just
I
my
don't even. I
opinion.
think there's no world he's gonna make it back to me.
I completely agree, but I'm mainly eyeing up Joe Mixon here. Injuries are kind of an issue from time to time, but averaging 17.18 points per game PPR is pretty good. And you look at the workload, 1,016 yards, 11 touchdowns in just 14 games. I have the chance to really get a good foundation of running back with Mixon here. And I do have two picks, which I almost forgot. So, I'm definitely going to take Joe Mixon. And I do like that. And now I have the chance. I could take Chuba Hubbard, which is what I did last week to round out my running back depth. But I think I'm going to lean towards wide receiver here. And I think I am going to pull the trigger on Devonte Smith. But Kenneth Walker is also kind of appealing. But I'm not. I wouldn't feel good with him if I didn't have Charbonnet with him. And obviously, that's not a lock for me to get Zach Charbonnet. So I think I'm going to avoid Kenneth Walker here. And I think I'm going to go Devonte Smith here. I am going to go Devonte Smith here. So I really like that first six picks for me. I think that's a really good team. James Cook, Joe Mixon, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek, and Devontae at flex. And there's really good value here, quarterbacks and tight ends late. Really, if I'm being honest, there's good value for quarterbacks, running backs, or quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends late. Running backs is like the only spot where I think that there lacks some serious value later in rounds, which is kind of usually the trend. So, again, I like that start. Kenneth Walker goes after him, Xavier Worthy, Demond, and Chuba Hubbard goes. So, team six stacking on running backs and banking on Rasheed Rice, maybe a little too much. So, all right, Cade, you're back on the clock.
Yeah, I think the fact that you can get James Cook and Joe Mixon in the fourth and fifth round is unbelievable. So I think that's a pretty good strategy. It worked out taking three receivers in a row.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's their ADPs at least on Sleeper. As you're going through your draft, I'm gonna look at their ADPs on ESPN currently, but
I mean,
so
Joe
that's
Mixon was
cool.
elite last year. He just got hurt. He got banged up. But this is a weird spot because before the J.K. Dobbins signing, I think R.J. Harvey was easily the pick here. I don't really want to touch that, even though I think he could be good and Denver could be really good. But Checo's, he's okay. But I think I'm going to shoot for high upside again, like I did last week with Travion Henderson.
I
I've
like
been
it.
drafting a lot more of Travion Henderson. I feel like he could be the second or third best running back in this class, and getting him as RB2 really can't hurt.
Yeah, no, I like it. Trayvon Henderson, um, he's got to work with Ramondre for what that's worth, but I don't think that's gonna be much to work with. If I'm being honest. So, you got a good foundation there. We see Pickens, Flowers, Hawkinson go after him, JMO, and then round seven starts out with R.J. Harvey, who I'm not that high on. I don't think it's good ADP value there. I think the Denver RB situation is a little weird. And then Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, and Ted McMillan, which I know Kay was more than likely eyeing Ted McMillan if I know him well. And yeah, you're back on the clock.
No, I know I took Tet before Travis Hunter last week, but that was just because I had Brian Thomas. So I had no rush really to take Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. But I think Travis Hunter is going to be really good this year. I think he could be like a Zay Flowers archetype or She Rice kind of thing where he just gets manufactured touches and lets his speed and athleticism really, take over and get the yak. So I think I'm going to take, yeah, I think I'm going to take Travis Hunter here as my wide receiver four.
Yeah, so Kay goes a couple rookies here in Hunter and Henderson, which I don't disagree with. I mean, Travis Hunter was the second overall pick. And as you see, if you were looking at the screen, the depth chart, De'Ami Brown's the wide receiver three, which he actually had a good postseason. But he's going to be bound to get a good workload there, as that's the receiving core for them, and obviously a weaker running back room as well. So he's going to have to get some workload. So
And Liam Cohen, I love the Liam Cohen addition for Jacksonville. Like the way he utilized Olave and Evans last year, I think he's really going to try to bring that offense over to Jacksonville. I think they could be I think they could be pretty good.
yeah, no, I completely agree with you. So it's a good start. We see Jalen Waddle go after that, so Team 6 is interesting. You got the four RBs. Obviously, Kyron and Chuba Hubbard will go with the flex, but then there's your wide receivers, Rasheed and Waddle. Hey, man, if they both hit, I mean, that's actually going to be a solid receiving core. But I wouldn't want those odds in a casino. And then after that, Patrick Mahomes goes, which is a little not upsetting for me because I kind of wanted to get the stack of him and Kelsey this late to round out that starting lineup, but honestly, they're probably not the best at both their starting spots. That's not the end of the world. Judkins and Andrews go. So here I am with just missing a quarterback and tight end in my starting lineup, that is. And there's some good options here. I'm looking at even Caleb Johnson potentially as a potential option to fill in at running back. I do like that situation a little bit. This is tough. I mean, Baker Mayfield probably makes the most sense. Bo Nix obviously makes a lot of sense as well. I think just from a straight volume wise and like just like Baker Mayfield is so safe. We'll pull up his game log real fast from last year. You kind of know what you're gonna get. I mean, that's a really consistent game log. Lots of 20s there, a couple higher 18s and stuff. I only see one, two. There's only three bad weeks on here. That's it. So
Does
really,
the loss of Liam Cohen, the Mike Evans age, and the Godwin injury scare you at all? Because I feel like that's a lot working against them.
well, does that tell you?
Yeah.
So, um,
So no.
yeah, I mean, it's like obviously something to consider, and yeah, I mean, maybe that was something bigger than what we think it is, and what I think it is at least, because I think I'm still high on Baker Mayfield. I think he'll be fine, but I'm okay. I think I'm just going to take the risk there on Baker, which leaves me now again with just without a tight end, but there's going to be some good tight ends that fall later. Looking around, I do like Evan Ingram. There's a handful of other teams that don't have tight ends, so I might skip out on tight ends right now. And Olave is intriguing. He really is intriguing because if Tyler Shuck is any good, which we have no idea if he is, but if he is any good, Chris Olave is going to be pretty solid. So, and then Jerry Judy's kind of staring at me too. Wide receiver 12 last year. This is a tough pick for me, Cade. I'm kind of stuck right now. Um, I'm not liking really any of the value down here. Stephon Diggs is an interesting name, but again, the ADP is a little too high at this pick, even though I don't think he should be valued that low. I, I'm kind of stuck here. This is one of those picks that I kind of don't know what to do on. I'm gonna pull the trigger on. I'm gonna do Travis Kelsey. I'm gonna bank on maybe
Oh,
slight of a bounce back here. Travis Kelsey, and yeah, so that rounds out my starting lineup, which I'm a big fan of my
I
starting lineup.
really, really thought you were going to go Chris Godwin with Baker Mayfield. I thought you were going to pull the trigger on that.
That is an intriguing idea. I did not
Chris,
honestly. I'm not
I
gonna lie
mean,
to you.
Chris Godwin was great last year, and the ankle. I know the ankle injuries, like it looks bad, and it was bad, but that's not like a crazy like turnaround time. Like he's probably going to be back by week 1, and if he's not back by week 1, he'll be back by like week 3 or 4. So, Chris
Yeah,
Godwin was 20 points per game last year.
yeah. I didn't even think about the stacking there. Um, I
The
haven't
only
been
thing
as
is you have so many receivers. Like, would he even have
yeah.
started?
I have been as high on Godwin as you have, but I think that actually would have been a good pick there. You know, if he were to fall to me another round, I'd probably end up pulling the trigger. But I do take Kelsey. We see Olave go after that. Bo Nix, Calvin Ridley, Jared Goff. So a couple quarterbacks go out of the way there, leaving Team Two kind of in an intriguing spot without a QB. But K's back on the clock.
Yeah, so I love my wide receiver room. I think CD, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Adams, and Travis Hunter is a pretty good balance. My running back room, McCaffrey and Henderson could be good, but I'm a little bit more shaky on that because that could also go south. So part of me wants to go like Caleb Johnson for the upside or like DeAndre Swift, but you know who I have to pick here. My
Oh,
man, the man who's the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, Roma Dunze in the 8th round is a steal. And the Bears offense is going to be elite. And Roma Dunze is elite.
I see, and this has been a joke between us and our league mates recently, and I am not buying it. And I'll tell you that straight up. If you look, if you're looking at the screen here, and this is why I'm not buying it. Now the offense was really bad. Granted, it was really bad, but I don't know. They added Luther Burden and Colston Loveland into that offense. It just to me, I don't understand how there would be a chance for him to be even top 20 if I'm being I think he could be a fringe top 20 kind of guy at his best this season, which, at the value here is not bad. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think he has any chance to be any higher than that. But that's a fringe top 20. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, if you look at the depth chart too, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, as I pointed out, Loveland and Komet, Swift. I have not been as high on him as Cade has been. But Cade, if you want to take the floor even more, as we
Well,
see.
that actually worked out perfectly too because I wanted Caleb Johnson and he fell back to me. So that was perfect. I got Rome, and now I'm going to take Caleb Johnson again to just keep hammering away at that running back upside. It's really the key. When you go hero RB, all you need is just some sort of valuable and consistent production out of the RB2 spot. And I think the more rookies you take, the better chance that's going to happen. So I'm going to go Caleb Johnson here. I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and as I pulled up on the screen, we're taking a look at Cade's team here. Still missing tight end, but a pretty good roster. And you don't really need a rush on a tight end. There's some good value late here on a bunch of guys, especially my guy, Evan Ingram, even though I went to Kelsey. So after the Odunze pick, there was nothing really interesting. I know Team 2 did not take a gamble on waiting on a quarterback any longer, even though everyone else said QB. Jerry Jeudy at that late, 8-10, is honestly pretty good value, depending on how you think the Browns are going to be. But after that, nothing really insane. I would fade B Rob this year. Not one of my guys, honestly. Tyron Tracy is interesting. Muscatabo. Pollard, interesting. Jalen Warren, very interesting situation. So, two Steelers RBs go back to back. And Diggs probably would have been my pick here. So, a good pick by the computer. Debo goes after that. So, at this point, with my starting roster filled out, honestly, I'm going to do this for one of my picks. I'm going to ensure that my tight ends are locks. I'm going to take Evan Ingram. I've been very high on Evan Ingram in a while in Dynasty as well. I've taken him in Dynasty. I think in that Denver pass offense, it's so safe with dump balls. I know I talked about it last week's episode, but I just really like what I could get from Evan Ingram here, especially with Travis Kelce, a little bit of question mark. And now it's really just at this point in your draft, you're just trying to hit on guys that could be studs. So, Cooper Kupp is an intriguing name. It's obviously a big time name, but there's a reason why he's down here now, without a doubt. Brandon Ayuk, we don't know when he'll be back, but probably before the end of the first half of the season. And Tyler Warren's still there, kind of scream my name. But this is where first round receivers are very appealing. So I'm looking at Matthew Golden. I'm even eyeing up Emeka Egbuka a little bit, and even Jaden Higgins down there. So it's kind of a tough pick. Khalil Shakir is also really safe. And honestly, I could use a running back, but there's really just nothing at the running back spot here. Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Cam Scatabo. I'm going to hold off on the running back position, and I think I'm going to go Khalil Shakir, honestly. I'm going to go Khalil Shakir. He was a good option for Josh Allen last year. So,
Yeah, he was 1,000-yard receiver.
1,005 yards off, 995 yards. So, after Shakir, Cooper Kupp goes Brandon Ayuk. So, some gambles, but not really in the 10th round there. That's some good value. Najee goes Juwan Jennings. So, which Juwan Jennings, honestly, he kind of flew under my radar. He would be an intriguing name to watch, considering he's really their only receiver right now. So, some good value for Team 7 late, and Team 6 late, and now Cade's on the clock. But Juwan Jennings,
Yes,
wow, that's a third receiver.
yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could have a quick conversation because I know you're pretty high on Jerry Jeudy, and if you're high on Jerry Jeudy, I think you have to assume probably Joe Flacco is going to be a starting quarterback because he offers the best chance of Jerry Jeudy being productive. And if you think that, which I would agree, I think David Njoku is going to be really good too because he averaged 13 and a half points last year. Yes, he missed 5 games, but if Joe Flacco is a starting quarterback in Cleveland, I think David Njoku could have a pretty good season. He's just going to get force fed the ball. So I think David Njoku could be a good option here, but the 3 teams behind me already have tight ends, so I'm not really in a rush to unless Team One wants to grab him, but I doubt it. So I think I'm going to go Matthew Golden here, take a shot on a rookie, see what happens. But I think
Yeah,
the chances of me getting David Njoku on the turn are pretty high.
yeah, I'm not insanely high on Jerry Judy. It's more the ADP value in a late eighth round pick on sleeper at least. I mean, with Joe Flacco, he could be good, but yeah. So I like the Matthew Golden pick there again. Kind of following, later in drafts, you're trying to find some studs. So first round receivers, obviously their teammate Jaden Reed goes, ETN goes, Josh Downs, and then three more tight ends fall off the board here, including two first round rookies in Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. Which honestly, guys, if I were you, Tyler Warren in the 11th round, I would take him, and I would be willing to reach probably 2 or 3 rounds earlier. Not really what I'm looking at my 10th pick, but you're getting a potential Brock Bowers again, and I'm going to have to scroll up to even show you where Brock Bowers was again. So that should really show you what his potential could be, even in a bad quarterback situation. So that's a guy I would be targeting. And we see Justin Herbert go right before Cade, as Cade's back on the clock.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take David Njoku here as my tight end. 13 and a half points per game last season. He did miss five, like I said, but I do think if Joe Flacco's the quarterback, he's going to feed him. And then even if it goes to Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders, rookie quarterbacks love to use their tight ends as safety blankets. So I think David Njoku is going to be serviceable. I don't think I'm going to have to like stream a tight end with David Njoku.
Yeah, I agree. So Cade rounds out his starting lineup as that's now on the screen now with Hurts, McCaffrey, Henderson, CD, JSN, David Njoku, Adams, and Hunter. It's a good lineup, and you got some lot of rookies. If now that I'm looking at it, and even you could classify Roma Dunze as a younger guy as well. That not a rookie, but obviously second year guys. So you're looking at Henderson, and Hunter, very young there, and then Johnson and Golden. A few of those players have to hit. You'd like to think, and at my team, so again, kind of taking the best available in the bench at the bench options so far. So we'll go three more picks here, and we'll call it a draft. Darnell Mooney's intriguing. That's a pretty good option last year from what he did. Even though wide receiver 31, he had some big time gains for them and was honestly good. Kind of early on, I think he had an early stint with them that was going pretty well. Yeah, it's 18, 15, 32, a couple bad weeks, but 19, 19, 15, 20. So kind of boom or bust. But, on those weeks where you have a bye week and you're kind of looking at potentially a loss, that's not a terrible play. But I'm kind of weak at running back. In fact, I only have two of them. So I'm probably going to gamble on two different running backs here this late. And maybe I go Ramondre. The fact that he was a starting running back for a good amount of time. I'm intrigued here with Jordan Mason's rushing yard prop that I see 681. That is higher than I thought it would be. And at the 160 attempts, okay, that's intriguing. I don't know what the sports books know here. Maybe it's Aaron Jones' injury. I don't know.
I think
Uh,
it's Aaron Jones' injury,
yeah.
age. I think Jordan Mason's actually not bad, but I do think there's a pretty clear pick here at the RB spot that I think you're going to go with.
Yeah, I'm going to take J.K. Dobbins. I don't know if that's who
Yeah,
you're
I
referring to.
agree. That's
Um,
who I was
I'm going to take
thinking.
Dobbins first, and I'm going to take another gamble. Those prop lines, that's kind of eye opening to me. So I that may have just convinced me to take Jordan Mason here. Again, because I only have two running backs in Cook and Mixon. Well, now J.K. Dobbins. So I want to get another safe potential shot here to running back. Um, and yeah, I'm going to take Jordan Mason. I am. That kind of convinced me in seeing the lines there from Sleeper. So I take Jordan Mason. I get some running back depth as I already have five receivers. Now I have four running backs, a couple tight ends, QB. Darnell Mooney goes off the board after that. Ramondre, Michael Pittman, and Kincaid. And now Kincaid to Cade is back in the clock.
Yeah, good wordplay. I think I'm going to go Caleb Williams just as a backup because Jalen's guaranteed to miss probably 2 games a year with some wacky injury. So Caleb will be my backup with the Rome stack. And hopefully, did he make it back to me? He did not. I wanted to go Tucker Craft, but instead I'll pivot and go to. Wait, did he get to? Oh, never mind. Keon Coleman got drafted as well. All right. So where to now? This isn't really that big of a deal. I'll go Trey Harris like I did last week.
Yeah, it's a good value there late. Again, a pretty good receiver. Obviously, with Mike Williams retiring now out of nowhere. It's going to be second on their depth chart with Lab McConkey. So, and he's already listed over Quentin Johnson, at least on Sleeper, and that's probably what it's going to be like in in the league anyway. So any notable names here? Emeka Egbuka after Cade's pick of Caleb Williams, first round receiver, obviously. C.J. Stroud late at good value. Jaden Higgins, this is really good value too. I think Higgins could potentially work his way into a really solid role. After that, nothing really notable. Jordan Love. So I think this is our last pick as we round out the bench. Again, we don't have a kicker in defense. Yes, this is. So Mr. Relevant pick here for me. And again, you're just looking for a guy that could maybe be good for your team. So Luther Burden's intriguing, but there's really not much going on. I think I took Isaiah Likely last week with this pick, and even Cam Ward's kind of intriguing. But I think I'm going to go at Mr. Relevant. Do I do it again? Do I go Isaiah Likely again? No, I'm going to go.
The viewer's going, good Lord, just pick.
I'm going to go Bayshell Tune.
I think it's a good pick.
I think
I probably would have taken Kyle Williams just to take a stab at Drake May in case Diggs is hurt. But yeah, I like Tootin as well.
I think Tune could win the running back room over in Jacksonville. But all right, well that's going to do it. So I'm going to look at a final look at our teams. It's my team again. I really like it with some depth as well. This is an ideal draft team for me at least. For Cade, Cade, if you want to talk about your team, if you real fast.
Yeah, I have Jalen at the quarterback position, McCaffrey and Henderson at RBs, CeeDee Lamb and JSN as my top two receivers, and Njoku at tight end, Devontae Adams and Travis Hunter at my flexes, and Rome and Caleb Williams stack on the bench, along with Caleb Johnson, Matthew Golden, and Trey Harris, three rookies.
Yeah, so stacking the bench is always kind of intriguing. Could always work out. We'll see if any of these real fast before we cut this episode. If any of these CPU teams are any good. This team does not look good. team one. This
all right. That's not bad.
I do. I think this is a solid team. I like Josh Jacobs' value. As we get a team three. Honestly, this team's kind of good too.
That's a good team as well. The flexes are a little shaky, but
yeah, I like this top four. I'm a big fan of top four, maybe even five. Who knows, Jose?
McBride's great too.
Lamar, James Conner. This is a solid team too. So I feel like for the most part, the CPU drafted some pretty good and realistic teams. I mean, even this team's kind of realistic.
I think the team right before this one's probably the best on the board, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's good now. No. Also a good team. So, yeah, I mean, pretty realistic teams. This one's a little iffy at the top three. Well, more just here, honestly. I like Bo Nix. But yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it as we get the last look at another pretty solid team. So, pretty good draft. Again, we'll try to keep doing this weekly. They're kind of fun. I know Cade and I are just a couple weeks away from our fantasy draft, which will be fun. And yeah, maybe we'll even do a breakdown or just post on our Twitter or something how that draft went or like how my team is. But that's going to do it. Cade, any final words?
Nope, all good.
That's my final word right there. So, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week on the next mock.